What's going on? I'm Gavin,
I'm Josh.
and this is our TED Talk. So today, we're going to be talking about a pretty interesting topic, something that definitely needs to be talked about, definitely needs to be brought more to the front of the attention scale, I think, for our country, and that's the Gay, Lesbian, Straight Education Network. And it's also known as GLSEN for short. So what is GLSEN? GLSEN is a network of teachers, students, and chapters that are across the nation in all the schools, not all the schools, but they need to be in all the schools. They will be hopefully soon. That they work to create a safe learning environment that is bully-free and harassment-free for all LGBTQ students.
We have a couple facts here that back the fact that we need to change the current environment of our school systems. The first of these facts is that transgender and gender nonconforming, or trans/GNC, youth are experiencing extremely high levels of harassment and hostile climates in schools. This is based off the fact that 83.7% of transgender and 69.9% of gender nonconforming students have experienced harassment in the school systems over the past year, which is obviously way too high of a rate. Another fact to back this is that 42.1% of trans/GNC students have been prevented from using their correct pronouns in schools, which is also another problem. That contributes to an unsafe learning environment.
Can contribute to identity too.
Exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Lastly, 46.5% of trans and GNC students have been required to use the incorrect bathroom over the past year. And I don't know about you, but if I walked into a school system that couldn't even use the bathroom that I felt comfortable in, it would detract
from where I want to go to school.
No, it would definitely.
It's not a safe learning environment. Something that they're looking to.
Something we're looking to
work for, definitely. So, what is GLSEN's mission? GLSEN believes that every student has a right to a supportive and safe LGBTQ inclusive education.
There are several different ways that GLSEN has informed people that they can participate in their program and in their cause. The first of these is to support. And support is somewhat of a general term, but GLSEN explains it as just listening closely to the LGBTQ students at your school and taking the time to let them talk to you and express their needs and what they feel that they need most in your school at that time.
I believe a very important part of support here is being an ally. That's just the first step in being supportive for another person who may decide to trust with you information that they may not have trusted with somebody else. So it's very important that you're an ally to somebody.
Oh, being an ear to bend is absolutely one of the best ways to support.
Absolutely. Listening.
And along those lines is joining the conversation. This can be anything from just listening to community, like student-led movements and things like that, and listening to the ways that they're supporting and helping them along those lines. Another way to participate is to learn. This is recognizing privilege that some students have that don't experience the struggles that LGBTQ students do. And as well as just understanding those differences, advantages, and moving past them. If you're an educator, they advise you to check out their different programs and their resources that they have on their website. Another way to participate is to organize. This can be anywhere from supporting student-led movements to administrator-led movements. Specifically, student-led movements have been shown to cultivate more motivation because they see other students being leaders and they know they can do the same. And lastly, it's just to teach. They instruct that the best way to participate is to teach. The best way to teach is through Ally Week. And this is a great opportunity for K through 12 students and educators to lead conversations and become allies in a school.
Right. And so what's really important is if somebody decides to trust with you this information that we were talking about earlier, somebody decides to come out to you, they are trusting with you information. Now it's important that you listen. You listen the whole time, you listen to what they have to say because it's very important. Now it's also important that you need to support them, but don't assume that they need help. They don't need help. Okay, don't assume that they need help. You need to find out what they need first, and that comes from listening and supporting. And finally, they're trusting with you information that they find very important to them, that they haven't trusted with anybody else. So it's important that you assure and you respect the confidentiality of them giving you that information, because they're trusting. They're putting a big leap of faith in you by trusting you with that information.
Oh, importantly, the confidentiality part.
Absolutely.
Because if that information gets out, it totally compromises the trust that you guys
Right,
would have. Yeah.
Exactly. So we're going to move into history here. So the history of GLSEN. GLSEN was formed by a group of teachers back in 1990, and they all had a common goal of creating a safe learning environment for LGBTQ students through the schools.
Their first major efforts in the schools were through 4 different programs that they kicked off. The first of these programs was the Day of Silence. They also had Ally Week, No Name Calling Week, and the Changing the Game program.
Right.
Each of these programs was really effective in the early days, especially in school systems, because student-led movements were so motivating and so easy to start up.
Right. So what audience is GLSEN trying to reach? So GLSEN really tries to reach a very broad spectrum. They try to reach the entire community. It's important for each community member to know the needs of LGBTQ students and understand that they're not
an outlier. No.
Right.
Yeah, they're as included.
So they're looking to inform the entire community. Now, of course, they're going to focus on the LGBTQ youth because they want to make sure they have a safe learning environment. But they want to make sure the entire community knows this as well, and so that they can help them and provide them the resources and everything that they need to feel included and provided through. Not provided for.
Which is another one of GLSEN's focus.
Right. So every year, this is important. Every 2 years, GLSEN collects information through the National School Climate Survey. This information comes from LGBTQ student experiences in the school system. And every 2 years, they find this information to see if it is changing in any way. They're trying to find out if it's getting better in the school systems or if it's getting worse. So, social media, GLSEN, they have a Twitter page. They also have an Instagram page. Twitter and Instagram, as we know, are very, very big social media platforms. The handle are both GLSEN, just GLSEN. Very simple, very easy to find. Lots of followers. A lot of people are starting to jump on this movement. It's a really big deal. It's very important. And being on these big social media platforms is huge. It can reach very, very, very wide audience.
And these 2 platforms, specifically among youth, have been proven to be very effective just because, social media speaks for itself. It's it's so quickly,
changing all the time. Exactly. So resources that students can search to be able to get information that they need, or any resources that they just want to be able to find out more about. They can go on the GLSEN home webpage. On this webpage, they'll be able to find out about all the programs that we spoke about earlier, the Day of Silence, Ally Week, No Name Calling Week. They'll also be able to get involved in GSAs. GSAs are Gender and Sexuality Alliances. These can be formed in the schools. These are the chapters we were talking about earlier. These chapters are important in each school because they can provide these students the support that they need in the schools to be able to continue with their education and be able to succeed at a higher level.
Okay. Those chapters have been proven to be very effective in schools as well, along with the social media forums.
Right.
Focuses of the current moment. Obviously, GLSEN has many different focuses in many different areas right now. But 4 of their main supports have come through advocating supportive educators, and supportive educators are crucial in creating an LGBTQ inclusive classroom. And this is also important in creating an environment where these students feel safe.
Right.
Advocating for inclusive or affirming curriculum, which not only offers support for LGBTQ students, but raises awareness to all students. Another venue of their focus is passing and implementing policies to ensure that LGBTQ students can learn and thrive in a safe, inclusive, and are accepted in our schools today. Lastly, supporting student-led clubs and GSAs because student leaders are integral to creating community and pushing for change.
So if you were a teacher or a future teacher, resources that you can find on this program and this movement that's going on, GLSEN, will be on their home webpage also. On this webpage, they'll be able to find GLSEN's 4 supports, which we just talked about. They'll also be able to find the inclusive curriculum guide. Now, this is important because teachers can use this in their lesson plans. They can incorporate LGBTQ students to make them feel involved, make them feel supported, to give them that environment that they need to be able to succeed.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so finally, our aha moment. The one thing that we took away from this that we thought was really stood out to us was that we really didn't realize how important it is for one person to just be an ally, if one person just has an ally. Because some people don't have anybody and they don't feel like they have anybody. So if they have that one person's support,
it makes such a big difference. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Having one person to lean on, and from even the facts have shown how it can change someone's entire schooling experience.
Right. One ally can mean the world.
Oh yeah.
And that is our TED Talk. Thank you for listening. What he said, definitely.
Drop subscribe.
Like and subscribe.